Hello world! Today we are interviewing Arnstar, the son of Kippy Dee from Rocksteady Crew. He is a multi-talented creative from Harlem, New York, and we are super excited to have him here today. Also, make sure to check out our House of Legacy playlist on Spotify, where all the recommended music from this show will be. Starting this episode off with a favorite, Cog in the Machine by Bobby Sessions. Alright, let's get into episode 5 of season 2. My name is Time Journey, and this is the House of Legacy. Hey everyone, welcome back to the House of Legacy podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Please introduce yourself and your legacy.
Peace and blessings. I go by the name of Arnstar, son of Kippy Dee, Rocksteady Crew. Rest in peace. Gone but not forgotten. I'm a legacy continuer, starting from my father, and just making sure that the culture stays in its rightful integrity, through entertainment and through protecting the youth, which is a type of activism and community building.
So who were you before Arnstar? Who were you? What was your life like in Harlem growing up, and what was your childhood like?
It was a bit of making it through the challenges of growing up through the hood, economically, environmentally, but it also came with its up and ups. You connected with the people, you connected with the energy that's already set at this moment. Hip hop is already in full effect, and I'm born in 1991, so it still had a high grade level of purity at that time. That was a naturalism. People were more aware. People awareness was more up. So it was really more of a just being a child, loving what I do as far as dance, sing, and eventually getting into rapping and writing poetry and things like that. But starting off as a young kid, by like 5 years old, I was singing and dancing. I thought I was going to be the next Michael Jackson at that time. My three older siblings, my two older brothers, and my older sister. And, my big brother was like my hero, person I look up to. And he kind of pushed me into, utilizing my voice and perfecting my craft.
Wow.
And so by the time I turned 9, I followed him into going to school at the Boys Choir of Harlem, where we would be prepared by learning classical music, learning scales, notes, even a little bit of piano. It didn't last too long, but just honing in on our aspects of music and where it could take us. And Arnstar was born that same year in like 4th grade.
Wow.
Until then, I grew up as Arnie.
Oh, wow. Because I was going to ask, how did you come about your name? How did it come to you, and what does it mean?
So my mother nicknamed me Arn when I was a kid. It's actually, as her best friend tells the story, it came from Rapper's Delight. It came from, I said on and on and on and on. The beat don't stop till the break of dawn. But instead of O-N, she turned it to A-R-N, which I later discovered was the original name of Moses' brother, Aaron. Aaron actually derives from the name Arn, which means enlightened for short. But it's Hebrew for mountain of exalt, which is a whole story within itself. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So no accidents, right?
Wow, that is deep. Did she know that, or was that something that was just like unconscious?
That was definitely spirit at play. I mean,
wow.
It so made its way to who has been the enlightened one, and through my hardships, I have seen the light and reached the top of the mountain, and have been exalted in many different ways. So definitely, if it wasn't the name that turned me into who I was, I just fit it perfectly. So I credit that to spirit. And my mother, she nicknamed pretty much the whole family. she had something with that. She's very prophetic. She spoke a lot of things that came into existence, if I remember correctly.
Right. Can you tell us a story, maybe like even from like your teenage to maybe like beginning of your 20s that like shaped you to be the person you are today?
It was really the transitioning of my mom that made me more aware and more conscious about spirit to matter and matter to spirit, and the difference between the two and the similarities that that makes them one and the same. And she is the bridge that allowed me to get to know who the spirit of the Most High is in its entirety. So my mother passed away when I was 16 years old. That was 2007 in December, a week after her birthday. She was born December 9th and she passed December 15th. And yeah, she succumbed to colon cancer. So that made me very aware of like food and what I put in my mouth, and really how when you eat, you're eating for energy and you're not eating for like fashion, or you're not eating for the sake of like, it became more to me. And you know, before she left, she would always talk about God. She would always talk about how God is the activator in the space, and she was so heavy adamant about spirit. She never really pushed religion though. She never pushed religion. She never told me I was a Christian, a Muslim, any of these things. She just told me that God is the head of all things and the head of our lives specifically. And so from there, I started getting into a lot of information about how fruits, certain superfoods, and certain lifestyles promote a longer, healthier life, and really, you know, also helps you tap into spirit even deeper, to where you're aligned to certain things, to certain movements, to certain sounds, to certain points in time, where you're just in the right place at the right time. And that really changed the trajectory of my life completely, because before then I think I was just a kid. I was like 16. I just wanted to be famous. I got this music, I rap, I sing. I just want to be dope. I want to do something that leaves people with a great impact. I want to be the next Michael Jackson. Yeah. And from there, it became like, now I want to be the next great world leader, the next great Malcolm X, the next great, you know, super impact on, you know, quotables, whether it's music or just things that people remember me saying or doing or being. I just want to be a great person.
Wow. What were some of your mentors in that stage, going from that transition of, you know, wanting to be like the, you know, famous thing, and then going into like a more like, I guess you could say like social activism and lyrical MC, impactful conscious rap and stuff like that? Who were like some of your mentors and people who kind of guided you through?
Yeah, my Archbishop, definitely E. Bernard Jordan. He calls himself the Master Prophet. He's definitely spoken some words over my life that has come to pass, and I appreciate him for having such a energy to teach. It's one thing to profess what you may see spiritually, no matter what you are, if you're a medium, if you're a psychic, or whatever you contain yourself as. But it's another thing to profess the word of God over somebody's life and really also teach them historical facts or scientific facts of how things once were and how things are still that, and what it's coming to according to history and what is found already documented. So it's less mysterious when you can point to actual like spaces of how things have changed, how things are coming back around and are on a loop. You get ready for it. Great minds such as Malcolm X, even Martin Luther King's legacy, some of his truer pieces that expose who he truly is, more closer to his transitioning. A lot of great thought leaders. Anybody that challenges the norm and suggests that something needs to shift for the greater good of everyone, I kind of followed in those steps of those people, and just took a liking to those kind of books, those kind of documentaries, and of course the Blastmaster KRS-One for standing strong against the system when things were like, a lot of people were just kind of selling their point of view on hip hop to kind of just stay relevant, and him standing firm like, no, we're going to keep hip hop pure. Right. Things like that have to put him in a bunch. Even more of his recent lectures about breaking down just hip hop as a word, as the many different representations that come through the word, the prefix, the suffix, really going into detail about what spirit is captured in hip hop, the word hip hop, and how it manifests itself. So people like this keep me afloat, and keep me stimulated mentally.
Let's talk about your hair. When I met you, you had the tallest flat top. It was dope. It was clean. And then you cut it off. What was that like for you, and why?
Yeah, so I was heavily inspired by Kid and Play back in the days, and I had this idea of kind of like, before I even had a flat top, I had like this mohawk that turned into like a frohawk. It was crazy. Back looking at it now, it looks ridiculous in my head. But as far as the flat top goes, one day I went into the barber, and I just like, it was so, my hair had grown so much, I just had an idea. I was like, hey, just go over the top and make it flat. And I saw it, and I was like, yo, this is it. So I ran with that for like 8 years, and that was my ode to like true school hip hop, 90s era, all that fun that they had in their movies, and then they sound like, I feel like that was something that I was looking to bring forward, still am bringing forward, but with that kind of energy. Like, if I got caught doing it, it would be like, we know where this came from. This came from Kid and Play era, things like that. And then I went to Africa, and I realized that I had kind of fed more into the characterization of how I look more than what it was that I came to bring after a time. Like, it just gave me like, it's time for a reset. So I went back into an original, low cut Caesar, which I'm used to having since I was a kid, before that whole transformation, in my 20s.
So tell us about your trip to Africa last year, and how maybe impactful that was spiritually, physically, all that. How was that?
Oh my God. The trip to Africa.
Yes.
East Africa, to be specific. I landed in a country called Tanzania. Okay. And it was such a dream come true to even touch the continent. Like, to be honest with you, I felt like it was something that may have never happened. Like, I don't know, like a part of me just felt like it was one of those things where you may make it to heaven before you make it to Africa. Like, it just seemed worlds away. Like, it seemed like, just like you kind of know it's there, but you're like, is it there? Like, is this a trick? Like, but anyhow, I get there, and you immediately recognize that you've been programmed for a different type of life. And this is like, going to Africa is one of the best matrix breakers you could ever do, especially growing up in America. It seems as if America is on the total opposite regime of the rest of the world, especially Africa. They drive on the other side of the road. They, the wheel of the car's on the other side. The food is in integrity, is not tampered with. There's no non-GMO products. Wow. Which now gives you a more connected feel to the earth. The roads, it's a developed space, but it's not as developed, so it's not much concrete. which is a good thing because now your feet can touch the ground and really you can start naturally grounding, and you can be closer to Mother Nature. Even in the midst of a city. I was in a city, a well-developed city, but still a city called Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. I would like to think of it as a home away from home. I didn't want to leave. The sun was amazing, the water, the taste of different dishes. I was just like, man, I don't want to leave. Like, there's something about like the people, their aura. Their one thing I love about the people is that the culture was bigger than anything else. Like, they may have been, there was the slave trade that we know about that brought us to America. But then there was the East African slave trade with the Arabics that a lot of people don't know about. And so, Islam is big, but so is Christianity. But one thing I noticed is in America, they're very much more separated. Even between black folks, it's still a division on some type of level. But there was no division on that level that was loud enough to detect with those people, with the people of Tanzania. And I really appreciate them for showing unity because the culture was bigger than the religion. And so even on public transit systems and trucks that are moving goods throughout the country, on the back of the flaps of the trucks, it would say like Psalm 23 or whatever. Yeah, things like that. They were very big on spirit. But then on the buses, it would say Mashallah, Inshallah. And I was like, yo, I'm home. Like, I grew up in a prophetic ministry, and I've like since then got more into teachings of Islam and even more of the world. But like those two major spaces is where I lived in as far as the expression of my spirituality. To see it together and kind of collaborating like this throughout the culture, I was like, this is powerful.
Can you tell us about your dance career and the Waffle Crew?
Yes, we are Family for Life Entertainment is what Waffle stands for. The E is interchangeable. We are Family for Life Educating. We are Family for Life Elevating. So with that being said, we helped pioneer a whole style that came out of the streets of New York. You can call it the third generation that was born from breaking, that was inspired by the Harlem Shake era. So Harlem Shake light beat community is what we've been pioneering for the past 16 plus years. The phrase was coined termed by AG, the Voice of Harlem, in 1999. And by the time I got on the scene, it was about 2006, 2007 fully. But it was already brewing up between 99 to 07. That was like the first wave of it. But from there, we would take it, and Waffle Crew, the members would form in 2011. I would join in 2014. And simply put, we was dancing on the streets. It turned into a battle arena, and then it went into a entertainment underground, quite literally on a train. And so my team was one of the first people to take it on a train.
Wow.
And from there, when I came back to the city, I realized everybody was dancing on the train. I was like, this is dope, but I want to get us on stages. So I started utilizing my celebrity and my expertise and started talking about it and publicizing it on my platform. I joined as an MC and ended up just kind of getting back into dancing again, naturally being surrounded by dancers. And so that took off, and things started happening for us. We started doing corporate events, community events, all kinds of events, bar mitzvahs, whatever the case may be. Next thing you know, we're on the Ellen Show twice.
Wow.
America's Got Talent. Went back to the Ellen Show for a third time. Went to Dubai to perform for a 10-day residency. And we've been cooking ever since. We've been going viral at will. And we had a song that went viral, Love Come Down, the remix. And so we've been very successful and just staying, not only staying afloat, but becoming one of the more notarized groups out of the light beat community.
Okay.
And it's about 10 of us now. It was about 13 of us at one point in time. It's about 11 of us now. And yeah, like, you know, we're just brothers looking out for each other,
Wow.
making sure we, you know, contain that positive energy between us. We know there's a lot going on in our own personal lives, so we come together to overcome that, and you know, overcome the stipulations that would try to keep us down, as far as the hood and in those systems that were set up for us to fail naturally, and we've been doing it.
Dope. What are some new projects you're working on this summer, this year? What is Arnstar doing this summer?
So this summer, I am looking forward to dropping a few projects, a couple collab projects. My energy is definitely big on just representing myself as a formidable MC that's, you know, overground and make an impact. So there's a few artists that I'm looking forward to continuing to collab with. We just dropped a video called Goat Mode 2. We did Goat Mode 1. That was me, Ty Dre, Mo Black, Wavy's World. And now we have added 4 female components to it, 4 emcees.
Dope.
Lady Slim, Didi Ami, Ace Allure, and actually I think it's 3 females. Yeah. But yeah, so we have that Justice League kind of energy. So we're in talks right now of continuing that. There's a lot of work that I'm looking forward to. Personally, there's a few projects that I got coming, a mixtape, and hopefully a second album. It may be 2025 that the album may be ready.
That's dope.
Yeah. And so I think I'm going to continue my Light Layers series. I already dropped Extended Spectrum, Light Layers Extended Spectrum in 2021. So I may be dropping Light Layers Dark Matter soon. Getting into the darker side of the spectrum.
Where do you see yourself in 1 year from now? So I guess 2025 in May, I guess you could say.
2025, we would have traveled to more countries, made more performances, in a more global thumbprint, which equals more exposure, more opportunity to economics, possibly a movie that's already done or in the works.
How do you plan to continue your parents' legacy?
By making sure that, as far as my mom goes, I don't give her enough credit when it comes to her singing capabilities. She would have definitely been ranked amongst Mary J. Blige, Faith Evans, and the likes of, especially should she had come on the scene during that time. As we see now, there's a lot of people exposing what it takes to get in the industry sometimes, and she wasn't willing to sacrifice that. And so that's what made it. That's what made her more of a honored through us versus having her own lane. I specifically remember her saying, like, someone asked for sexual favors and she declined respectfully, and so she wasn't signed to a certain record label. But yeah, so I'm gonna sing more in my music to honor my mom. As far as my dad, I feel like I've been doing so much in his name and keeping his legacy alive that we're just gonna continue to strengthen that.
Yeah.
He's definitely known as a breaker, but he was also known as an MC and as a graffiti artist. I'm not too into graffiti too much, but I am a fan of it. I'm not into it myself, but I'm a fan of it. So I'll definitely push graffiti artists myself and just keep the elements alive and keep the purity of spirit as a collective of both of them.
Any advice for the next legacy holder listening?
I try not to add vice into people's lives, but what I will say is, if you know you're a legacy holder, let nothing stop you from being the greatest version of yourself. Express yourself with the freedom of understanding that you will be heard and felt by your tribe. And if there's anything that is in opposition to that, just remember that a charge from a battery comes from a negative and a positive at the same time. So don't be too distracted by the oohs and the ahs. Just dot your I's and cross your T's, and bring the energy that you wish to impact the space with. Bring it with the most purest approach that you can, and learn and adjust from there.